The Netherlands is a small country. It's so small you could fit it into the US 270 times. But it's big when it comes to making food. Remarkably, it has the second largest agricultural exports in the world, mainly through being able to produce vast amounts of food on tiny plots. Here's how the Dutch learnt to feed the world. The Netherlands isn't exactly designed for mass farming. Because of limited space, farmers have learned to eke out as much as possible from the land. With a third of the country under sea level, the Dutch mastered how to make land using levees and built windmills to drain marshland to create fertile soil. This area just outside of Amsterdam, Flevopolder, is the largest artificial island in the world and didn't exist half a century ago. Nowadays, over half the ground in the Netherlands is used for agriculture. It makes more food than its people can eat. But there was a time when the Dutch faced starvation. 1944, and the Allies begin to liberate Europe. The Nazis occupy the Netherlands and begin a blockade of the north. It created a food shortage so severe the Dutch government encouraged its people to forage for acorns and chestnuts. Tens of thousands perished from famine. After the war, as the Dutch rebuilt, ensuring food security became a priority. The issue was important to the new Minister for Agriculture, Sikko Mansholt, a former farmer and a resistance fighter in the war. He'd begin to drive changes that would turn farming into big business. Before the war, Dutch farms operated like those in most other countries. Small plots had a few livestock and produced a mixture of seasonal crops to service local populations. Mansholt wanted mass production and built on a decades-long system of state support for farming. He pursued a policy of land consolidation. Larger, more productive farms were encouraged to absorb smaller, less profitable farms. It was all about using less labour to improve yields. In 1963, the government launched a fund to help older farmers sell up and to help young farmers start new businesses. State funding into research and technology such as fertilisers and machinery followed, and thanks to aid from the US Marshall Plan, numbers of tractors rose quickly, helping farmers work more land. Dairy production grew fast as cooling tanks and milking machines were invented. In 1960, the average Dutch dairy cow would produce 4,200 kilograms of milk per year. In 2007, this had nearly doubled to 7,880 kilograms. Oversupply of milk wasn't a problem. The dairy board created Joris Driepinter, and he encouraged kids to drink plenty of it.
Heel gewoon, hè? 3 glazen melk per dag.
But technical innovation didn't stop with machines. The Dutch pioneered specialist greenhouses, creating conditions that would result in many more plantings than ever before.
These greenhouses are in the southwestern section of the Netherlands, and they enable farmers to grow crops the year round. With temperature and humidity carefully controlled, an elaborate water system keeps the crops properly moist.
If you were to put all of the Dutch greenhouses together today, they'd cover an area the size of Manhattan.
Farming under glass, another example of Dutch ingenuity.
Then, a huge discovery in 1959. The vast Groningen gas field would offer greenhouse horticulture a huge boost. Farmers profited from the cheap energy as their crops benefited from the heat and the added CO2. The Netherlands now has the world's highest yields per hectare for cucumbers, chili peppers and tomatoes, all carefully picked for their profitability. Reducing water use is part of making efficiencies too. Today, some farms use just 4 litres to grow a kilo of glasshouse tomatoes. The global average is 214 litres. All this built on a rich culture of farming that already existed. The Dutch were master breeders of plants and livestock, and were a nation of traders thanks to the ports at Rotterdam and Amsterdam. The state built on this expertise to transform farming, including a focus on education and research, as part of a holistic approach to benefiting the entire industry. It hasn't all been good though. The Dutch have been criticised for getting ahead with over-intensive methods and using synthetic fertilisers to boost production. They're now working to change this. In 1999, the country used more fertiliser than any other European country, spreading on average 500 kilos per hectare. By 2014 though, that figure had more than halved. By working together, farmers, scientists, businesses and the state turned the Netherlands into a world leader in modern farming. Its knowledge and state-of-the-art technology will be vital in tackling the future of a rising global population with billions more mouths to feed.